So finally, let's talk about David Tennant and his rant about Kemi Badenoch. Let's take a look at the clip.
Until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore. I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up.
Julia, what the hell do you make of that?
Oh, I don't know where to start. Can I start from the fact that I do have skin in this game? I just can't bear David Tennant. If I knew nothing about David Tennant's views on anything, I just don't like him as an actor. He's just one of these people, if he's in it, I go, oh, I don't want to see it. I just don't. Okay, so I'll start from that. And Doctor Who, yawn. Anyway, I'm not an 8-year-old boy. So, although I could identify as one if I so choose and be taken seriously. What he said at this LGBTQ plus awards last Friday, what's extraordinary about it to me is that he says this in front of hundreds of people at this awards ceremony. Whoops, cheers. It wasn't he wonderful? What a great guy. And nothing comes out for days because everyone in that room is totally signed up. What he said was perfectly acceptable. To say that you think that a woman whose actual job it is as Women's and Equalities Minister, as well as, of course, being in the cabinet, to actually protect women's equal rights and other people's equal rights, it's actually that she should be, he wished, not existing or to shut up is extraordinary. And the other thing about this is, I love Kemi Badenoch's, I will not shut up, basically, 2 fingers up to him. But what I find really, really extraordinary is the double standards on the left and the right. Again, I know I keep banging on about it, it is extraordinary. Imagine any actor or any political figure, anyone at all, who was a white, straight man, who spoke about a black or Asian shadow cabinet member in exactly the same terms, they would be out of public life. They would probably lose their job. They would be, that's it, the end for them. No, but it's okay because it's David Tennant, because he's got the right views. Kemi, however, has the wrong views, doesn't she? Even though she ticks a lot of boxes on our intersectional Olympics, victimhood rally, she ticks a lot of boxes, but she doesn't tick quite the right ones.
Well, you lose that protection, don't you? If you're, you see this a lot with sort of ethnic minority conservative politicians. Suddenly they're
called coconuts and other racist terms.
It's not even just that. Actually, in fact, it's worse than that. You're allowed to racially abuse them. It's absolutely obscene,
and it is telling, isn't it, in this particular instance, where it's another reminder that gender ideology has basically become an excuse for men to tell women to shut up about defending their rights. It's incredible. I was also struck in the back and forth between Kemi Badenoch and Tennant just about how, in this debate in general, the kind of disparity in seriousness, in actually knowing anything about the issue, in brain cells often, to be perfectly frank, where you just have some kind of know-nothing virtue signalling celebrities or campaigners who have never really thought much about this issue at all. They've just intuited that this is the high-status opinion. They've been told that this is the new civil rights movement. That's where they come, and that's basically what we said on stage, wasn't it? I just thought this was common sense. And they
shouldn't be given an award because everyone should be thinking the same thing.
Thanks.
But I am wonderful. And then on the other side, people who for years have been reading about this, thinking about this, wrapping their heads around it, and doing so quite cautiously in some instances and slowly because they knew that they were treading on a landmine potentially. Absolutely. And so that's one of these things where it's always, I'm always struck by the fact that whenever you have one of these spats break out, or whenever one of these campaigners is forced to account for themselves, to actually debate these issues, brought into an employment tribunal, as often happened, or whatever, it all just falls apart.
But have you seen the move to cancel David Tennant? Now, I don't want him cancelled. I don't want him to lose a single day of work or a single pound of income. I don't want him not to be shut up. And I've talked about this on my show actually with Helen Joyce, the fabulous, wonderful, amazing Helen Joyce from Sex Matters. And she said, oh, no, we definitely don't want these people to be shut up. We want them to say it out loud.
Let them speak.
Let them speak, because also we've got the arguments and the facts on our sides. And as you say, they're spouting utter nonsense. People need to be treated with dignity. No one's not treating people with dignity. There is no God-given right that any man has to put on a wig and be treated with dignity in a woman's toilet. You won't be treated with dignity in a woman's toilet that I'm in. I'll tell you that for starters. I'll ask you to get the F out, because that's not where you belong. And I don't go in the men's toilet. Well, unless there's a very big queue. But that's a different dynamic, as we know. But this is the thing. It is extraordinary how little sort of payback there is when we know that the men in the showbiz world who have spoken out to protect women and children on this issue, the Graham Linehans and the James Dreyfuses and others, J.K. Rowling, they can't cancel J.K., she's too big, but the vitriol medals she gets
Yeah.
is astonishing. Nothing for David Tennant. When of course, he's got skin in the game, as he says, because he says he has a non-binary child. Of course, he doesn't, because there's no such thing.
Yeah.
So he may as well say to me that, that he's got a unicorn. He hasn't got a unicorn either. They don't exist either. He has a son who he's lying to by telling him that, yes, he may well be two different genders at the same time, which is not a thing.
Yeah.
And I find that appalling. But these are always the most, I think, dangerous people in this, because the parents of sadly mixed up, confused children who are being lied to by their family members, and probably schools and others as well, and everyone on YouTube, they've got so much skin in the game, they can never, ever allow for the fact they might be wrong.
And the idea that David Tennant or any of these people have the moral high ground in all of this stuff, we should refuse to allow them that territory, particularly after everything that's happened and everything we know. I would love to see him...
Tavistock especially.
Exactly. I would love to see him give that speech again. Just kind of basking in almost real life retweets, as it were, in front of a group of detransitioners who have been chewed up and spat out by the NHS as a consequence of this insane policy in gender clinics. I'd love to see him say that in front of the women who have been sexually assaulted in prison by men in England. It's happened in England as well, the Karen White case, just because people like him wanted to mouth a slogan and feel good about himself. This is the idea that this is A, any kind of civil rights struggle, or B, morally virtuous in any sense of the word, is obviously not true by this point, but still there's credence in it, isn't there?
How long do you think they'll hold on to it? Because there is an element where so often these things kind of crumble. And again, I remember reading in Brendan's book the chapter about trans ideology, but also echoes of what happened, witchfinder generals and things, and how it is extraordinary how it sort of it went on for ages. Then suddenly, basically someone said the emperor's got no clothes on and there are no witches.
The spell breaks.
And the spell breaks. Yeah. And I think a lot of us thought with the Caste Review, that spell was broken. It gave an out for a lot of the people who were trying to be in and right on. Clearly not. I mean, I think most people think that things are going to get a lot worse now with Labour getting in than, as we were discussing earlier, than getting better. So how will that spell be broken?
I think, well, I hope it breaks. I think no one's going to admit they were wrong. That's probably the thing we have to.
They'll say
we have to get over that in
change.
Exactly, we have to get over that in advance. We're not going to expect any praise or thanks. But I think that in general, in so many ways, the common sense or the sort of mass of people is on the side of
and also the level of anger is rising now.
That's true, yeah.
Again, it's the same as actually if you go back to Brexit and immigration as well. It's only so many times you can shout bigger at someone for having a legitimate concern about your country changing massively as a result of mass uncontrolled immigration.
Yeah.
So only so many times people will put up with it before they'll say, yeah, that's not going to work for me anymore.
And I think if David Tennant had made that speech 4 or 5 years ago, would it have flown under the radar? Would have just thought, another celebrity mouthing off? The reaction, has been quite rightly pretty strong.
There's a backlash now, and it has a certain consequence, has a certain form. There is a debate about these issues in a way that there was zero debate about it even 4 or 5 years ago.
It's being discussed in the general election. It's that big,
Exactly. And I think we're just at a certain point where, because of the complete collapse of the Tory party and the fact that Labour are riding to a completely unearned landslide majority,
which even they know is unearned.
Exactly. That unfortunately these ideas are still kind of, at least in terms of the top level of politics, still hanging around kind of in the ascendancy. But it won't take long for, I think, the common sense of the populace to reassert itself, because as soon as there's another one of these controversies, I think people are not going to put up with it.